Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Mundane Festival podcast. I'm your host, Chris Lamberth. Today is Sunday, March 28th, 2021. Remember, as always, you can subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast listening apparatus. If you're really into this show, I need you to go over to Apple Podcasts, give this show a 5-star review, let everybody know why you like it, because it's the right thing to do. And if you want to take your love and affection of this show to an even deeper level, I need you to go over to patreon.com slash mundane festival and subscribe to the show for $3 a month with hundreds of hours of bonus content. I think almost 3 years of bonus content with me blabbing about stuff by myself and blabbing about stuff with other people, and it's some good stuff over there. So do that. It'll mean the world to me. This is episode 495, closing in on episode 500. I don't know what that noise was. I don't know what that was, but this is episode 495. I have two super special return guests that you know and love, and it's at least one person's at least one person was looking forward to this episode. I have comedians J.L. Covan and Jeff Cerulli. We're doing an Oscar predictions, reactions episode chat, and we also talk about our favorite movies of this past year or this past Oscar award cycle in general. So I'm going to share that conversation with you in a bit. Right now, I am recording this intro on a Saturday. I am going to I'm about to make my first stab at making some baked chicken. I finally got my oven back. So now I'm chefing it up a little more. I saw this really great YouTube video of this guy making some baked chicken, and I got a hankering for it. The only thing I did, he used chicken thighs, and he said that was the best, gives you the most meat and the most flavor, all that jazz, whatever he said as a chef. And I got some chicken thighs, but they were boneless. And I looked at them, started to open up the package, and I was like, ah, shit. I wanted to do it like he did it on the video. So now there's just like boneless chicken thighs, but I think they'll still be good. I seasoned them. They're marinating in the refrigerator as I speak right now. I've already made some Brussels sprouts. I've steamed some Brussels sprouts, and I'm going to have some rice probably. And I'm excited about that. So that's what's going on in my life. No auditions this past week. And I was like, is showbiz forgetting about me? What the fuck? So no auditions this week. I got a MacBook. I got my baby's first MacBook Pro. I'm excited about that. I'm staring at it right now. It's a lot. I got the 13-inch, the M1 with the M1 processor. Shout out to Christian Polanco for being a friend of the podcast, one of the hosts of the Cooligans podcast, for being a tech mentor and telling me the specs that I should get for the stuff that I do. He also told me about the podcast equipment too, to what to get. He also told me the last laptop that I got. When he was on here, I pestered him about computer shit last year. I like it so far. I haven't had a Mac since I was a kid, and I'm slowly getting used to all the differences. I'll get used to it. It's a bit of a learning curve. It's not super crazy, and I think I'll get the hang of it. But it's funny. I think I said this when I got my first iPhone in November. Um, the guy in the store was like, "You're gonna fucking hate it." He didn't say fucking, but he's like, "You're gonna hate it. I hate it. I had an Android for a long time, and I got a Mac, and you have to swipe up. There's no home button anymore, so I fucking hate it." And so he went back to to a Samsung or whatever, a Droid. And I got the phone, took a couple days, and I really like it. I dig it. It seems like it's, I've never, sometimes in tech, I like tech and I'm not super duper tech savvy. I think I am because I think I'm just kind of like at a moderate level where I know how to do certain things. I'm pretty decent. Uh, but when I was a kid, my dad's brother, was really into tech, and he was a merchant marine, and he would bring home like laser disc players, mini disc players, and I would know how to record stuff and all this stuff. But I don't think I'm good enough to have a YouTube channel. If it was somebody that was fumbling through shit on a YouTube channel, I'd probably be good at it. But I'm pretty good. I'm good enough to do a podcast. How about that? To do a podcast that a few hundred people like to listen to. I'm comfortable with that. Next week's guest, Adolf Hitler, his ghost. I'm gonna get a Ouija board, and I'm going to have a seance, and I'm gonna bring back Adolf Hitler so I can talk to him and get my Patreon numbers up. So I think that would be, and I have like Black Twitter angry at me, but at the same time, like these conservative alt-right people will start to listen, and I'll just delete all the stuff that I said about having empathy for people on the show and just being nice to, I'll just delete that Jen Kwok episode from last week. Oh my God. Yeah, so I'm happy with this. And I was talking to a coworker who has a MacBook, and I was just saying, yeah, I'm thinking about getting a MacBook. What do you? I hate it. I hate it. And she's like, I just hate it. Like, that's the second person that every time I get a Mac product, somebody's always there to talk me down. But I like it so far. It's cool. It's smaller than my other one. I think my other one was a 14 or 15 inch. But I like it. I'm digging it. I kind of see why everybody has these. But thanks Joe Biden. Thanks coronavirus for the stimmy. I hope that I pleased certain people who said that I didn't buy sneakers this time. Ha ha, racist podcast people that I will not name. So I like it. I like it so far. And I got my second vaccine, the second shot. I don't know if they call it, Gordon Baker Bones says the vacky. I don't know if that's what he's a pretty hip into it guy. I don't know if it's the vacky or the vaxy. I'm not sure. I've also heard that scene. So I've heard that too. So whatever that is, I got it. I got the second shot. Went to the Meadowlands again this past Tuesday, and was pleasantly, I'm not really surprised, but I was happy to see that there were more minorities, more people of color in line getting their shot, and that was good. I was glad to see that, and yeah, I didn't really feel anything. It was a little sore for a few hours, but I didn't have to take any Tylenol or any aspirin. I think it just varies on the person, and so it did not hurt or anything. So get like me, young. If you can get that, if you can get the sign up for it, and you have an opportunity to get it, even if it's not in you don't necessarily meet the criteria, because I didn't, and I'm a fatty, a chubby guy, a big boy, but I had the opportunity to get it, and try to help some other people get it, and so I just hope people still take it seriously, because coronavirus, it's still no joke, and listen to Rod and Karen, they talk about it in depth. I'm just a guy telling you I got the shit, and maybe you should get it too. The more people that get it, the better it'll be for everybody, and for us to get back to some form of normalcy in these terrible times. All right. on a lighter note, on a lighter note, I want to get you to Jeff and JL, our conversation. We recorded this last week, and in light of everything that was going on in the Asian community, I reached out to the very lovely and talented Jen Kwok to just kind of shoot the shit and get her thoughts on everything going on. So I just decided to, bump this one back a week. I can do that because it's my show, okay? All right? So this one, there's technical difficulties in on one portion. You'll hear, you might hear a hard edit when I start talking about the high note, the Tracy Ellis Ross, Dakota Johnson movie disguised as a Kelvin Harrison Jr. film. And you hear, like, because some wires got messed up, but we fixed that, so that's a thing. And also, we were talking about Best Supporting Actress, the Best Supporting Actress category, and I mentioned Yoon Ju Jung from Minari, who plays she's the grandmother in Minari. I was thinking it was the woman who played Stephen Yoon's wife, Han Yuri. So I was talking about her, but it was the grandmother that got nominated. And I thought Han Yuri did a great job. And I thought that maybe she low-key outshined Stephen Yoon, who was getting a lot of the press, who was also great, but he was getting more press than Han Yuri. And obviously so, because he's essentially the lead, but even the grandma's kind of like the main, it's kind of, it's a not so talked about, it's not as talked about as the Daniel Kaluuya, oh my God, the Daniel Kaluuya brain fart, Lakeith Stanfield, Judas and the Black Messiah thing. But it's, yeah, I was thinking, anyway, hey, Yoon Ju Jung is the grandmother in Minari. She killed that shit, and that category is just going to be really interesting if Glenn Close, if they give her one of those Lifetime Achievement Award Oscars for Hillbilly Elegy. It's an interesting category. This is going to be fun. I might actually watch this one, or I might just be watching something else and just look at my, just have TweetDeck open, and when somebody in the acting category wins, I'll just switch over and then try to say, well, I kind of predicted that, or even when I didn't. I wouldn't do that. All right, I've been rambling way too much, and really excited to share at least the episode that at least one person tweeted about and was excited about. Shout out to Great Uncle Bob. This one's for you, sir. A tip of the metaphorical hat to you, good sir. You can't see it because this is an audio recording, but a tip of the hat to you, good sir. So without further ado, here's JL and Jeff Cerulli and yours truly talking about movies and awards.
Currently, I'm watching my career go down in flames, but I'm also watching Snowfall on FX. Are you asking just in general or movies?
Yeah, in general, TV. Yeah.
I'm watching Snowfall, and I don't want to spoil, but there have been, that's a show I tend to watch. Like sometimes it's like, oh, I'm up early. It's 7 a.m. I'm having a cup of coffee before getting on with my day. That's a rough show to like kick off your day with.
Yeah, that's not the best show to do. Yeah.
The best part of waking up is murder in the 80s. So that I've actually been watching Young Rock on NBC, like a rare, I see the judgment coming from the Mark Ruffalo Independent Artists Committee.
No judgment. Just like, I didn't think anyone was watching that show. It looks so gimmicky. Is it funny?
It's what I think is actually decent about it is like, it's 3 different shows, and like they just focused on like last episode was him at Miami. So it's like 19-year-old Dwayne Johnson with like Michael Irvin at a party. So there's like when he's a little kid, it's a little cheesier. It's almost trying to be like 3 different shows, but I think it has some potential. And I need, honestly, everybody loved Schitt's Creek. Get out of here. It's an okay show for real. It's sweet. If you want sweet and hilarious, it's called The Office. It's called Parks and Recreation. It's called Modern Family. But anyway, I felt like I needed some like very light entertainment. You know what I mean? Like just for my life, like something where I can just sit back and go, that was kind of fun. And I remember like being into The Rock as a wrestler. So it's like, that's a real sort of like, as long as it doesn't offend me by being like offensively bad, I feel like I can enjoy that. And Keenan right after has been up and down, but I do like seeing Keenan do something other than SNL. And I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I'm in the middle of The Flight Attendant. You know, I'm very behind on my streaming. It's decent. I don't think it's great, but it's decent.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, I'm not like pissed. I'm not like, oh, what a waste of time. It's like it's not bad, but I feel like with so much out there, I become a very tough critic, because when I finish something, if I don't love it, I sort of go, man, I got 38 other things to watch. So you want to like love whatever you're watching because it feels like there's too much. So I think that's a good, there's what I've been watching.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with stuff being pleasant that you enjoy. I haven't gotten into the Young Rock yet, but I have watched Kenan, and it's just like, oh, this is pleasant. This makes me smile. You know, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be in a, like, Snowfall's not the best show to watch when you get up, but I kind of,
all right. What's going on?
little some Black Death and some drugs going around. Yeah, because it comes on Hulu the next day. I like watching it on Hulu because there's no interruptions. Like I got off work.
Oh, you have commercial-free Hulu?
Yeah.
See, I have it. That's the one thing that I have through my cell phone. So to me, sometimes I get annoyed. I'm like, let me just get the commercial free. But I'm like, but it's free with my phone. Like I literally paid nothing for it.
Okay.
So I leave the commercials on Hulu.
It's kind of bullshit though. I have commercial free Hulu, and then half the time I feel like I'm watching something, there's commercials. And they're like, oh no, it's because it's too new. We had to put the commercials. It's bullshit the way they advertise the commercial free. We were watching, we got real into Top Chef, just like what you're talking about, just something light to watch during the pandemic. So we were watching Top Chef. It was commercial free. And then when we watched the last season, which was like a year old, it had commercials. And I was like, why is it commercial? And I realized because it was the newest season of Top Chef. And I'm like, but you're advertising commercial free. It's kind of like bullshit for you to advertise that we're commercial free. And then a show that's a year old, but because it's the newest season has commercials. So like it's good overall. But that's shit, man.
Is that because Disney? I bet you that's because Disney partnered with them, and Disney was like, "I think we can squeeze a few more billions out of corporate America and people."
Yeah,
I haven't run into that because I have them all separately. Because initially I bought the ESPN app or whatever, the subscription, so I thought I could share it with my dad, but apparently I don't think you can.
Hulu limits. It's not like Hulu limits, like you pay for 2 screens and then that's what you get. I like it overall. It's just that commercial free. I think it's a little bit of false advertising.
I haven't run into that.
Yeah. Are you watching, you're saying, okay, you watch Snowfall, right? Mm-hmm. Did it not have commercials? Because that's like a new show per se. They put it
doesn't.
It might be because they're partnered with FX though, so that might be a unique thing because of FX.
Okay,
maybe that's why. I mean, I watch on.
They sell that FX on Hulu as like a brand, like a thing they do. Like we have FX the next day. They did like a deal.
Okay,
that's a year ago with FX. So FX may be a different.
Okay, but you're right. Like a show like Top Chef, a show that like they're buying from Disney or whatever, ABC. You're right. That's why it has it. So specific cases like that. So it's not all the time, but it's just a little like, you know, I've run into it more than once or twice that I'm like, all right, this is annoying that you're advertising. I'm paying for commercial free, and I'm getting, all these ads. It's a real problem, guys. It's probably the number one problem in the pandemic, I would say, that Hulu isn't totally commercial free.
I have not run into that. What else are you watching other than Top Chef, Jeff?
Well, you're talking about, like, I liked what you were saying, JL, with just like something light that you want. And we got into Ted Lasso, which is like the sugar, like light, like buttery dessert of just like TV shows. And we really enjoyed it. I watched it with my girlfriend. We really just enjoyed it. It was a little too like, aw shucks at times. Like, he annoyed me a little bit, that I'm like, all right, no one's actually this nice. And like, he had like the one freak out scene, and then he immediately apologized for it. And you're like, all right. But the show is just like, it works like on a lot of levels, and it's fun and it's breezy. So like, it's a welcoming change, because I've been watching like a lot of docs and like, murder shows and this and that. So it's like a nice change of pace to just have it. He's very charismatic, and it's just like a really fun show. Did you watch it?
I did. And yeah. Ted Lasso, like, I enjoyed it. And I also felt like big British Megyn Kelly wasn't getting enough respect.
She's fantastic. She's like the lady in Major League.
Yeah.
More of her.
But I like her a lot more in many different ways. But I think Ted Lasso for me was better than Schitt's Creek, but it was the same kind of thing where I was like, it's hard to get into discussions with people, like real discussions about shows, because during the pandemic, it felt like people were getting very emotionally attached to the shows they like. So when I was like, Schitt's Creek is like pleasant, but it's not particularly funny. What is everybody talking about? And people act like you just punted their puppy into the highway. And Ted Lasso, which I thought was better, definitely better, even though I don't think Schitt's Creek was bad. I think some of the best things that Schitt's Creek did was drama, like dramatic moments. I felt much more than the humor. But Ted Lasso, I was like, oh, I like Ted Lasso. I'll watch another season of that. And then people are like, have you watched Ted Lasso? Possibly the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, what? I mean, really? I'm of the mindset. I'm still like, Arrested Development, people. Like, this to me is like TV comedy at its finest, not Ted Lasso or Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, I watched a couple episodes of Schitt's Creek. I thought it was okay. I've been a fan of Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara for a long time, like especially in the, obviously in those Christopher Guest movies. Yeah. They're terrific, but I haven't really gotten into Schitt's Creek. But Ted Lasso I did enjoy. But Arrested Development, I agree with you, JL, probably arguably the best sitcom of the modern era.
Yeah.
Very intricate, very funny, brilliant acting, brilliant script.
I always wonder when people are like talking about comedies, I'm like, I don't want to be a snob. Like, I'll be a snob with stand-up comedy, but I try not to be too snobby with other shit. But But Arrested Development, I'm always like, I don't think, like, this is, you look at that cast, everybody from that cast basically went on to play that person because they were so good that they got pigeonholed for a decade doing that because it was so perfectly tailored to who they are and their talents. I just think that show, I love Arrested Development so much. Like, I just think it's so good.
It's a different type of funny than the way that because that show fathered, I don't know, you could say it fathered Modern Family.
Oh, I've said Modern Family is like the child that it abandoned because Arrested Development wouldn't stick around to raise a kid. So it got raised with like the DNA of Arrested Development, but like a nicer, it's like it was raised by like a nice stepdad.
Yeah, it's a way less acerbic than Arrested Development. It's just and it's it's definitely like a strong network series, and I thought it was good. I mean, it's another, if you really want to talk about great sitcoms that were short-lived, I mean, you can talk about happy endings where there was a joke on every 10 or 15 seconds in the way that you have like a 30 Rock.
I didn't see happy endings. I never watched it.
It's on Hulu. I heard good very things. Funny.
Okay.
It's very funny.
But I say to people, if you want that heart, and that's okay too, to like a nice comedy, and not every comedy has to be like, these people are horrible human beings. Yeah. Let's laugh. But I think The Office and Parks and Recreations are two amazing comedies that have a ton of heart.
Yeah.
And then when I compare that to like what people like now, I'm like, but you can do both. It's harder. That's what makes them great. It's harder to make a really sweet and hilarious show, but it's been done.
Yeah, and I don't think people have like maybe they've kind of gone away from Arrested Development, but people love The Office. The Office is like a warm blanket. I mean, there's been times where it's like, oh my God, I don't feel like watching anything. Then you just kind of put on like an early season of The Office and just let it play before you go to sleep or something. That's a really great show. People are always talking about that. I finished watching Succession.
Has somebody told me that somebody sampled that intro?
I don't know.
Sorry. So as soon as I hear Succession, I think of the intro.
I've never seen white people be so mean to each other and on screen in my whole life. I thought that I've seen some shit, but wow, I think that show is great. I love that, and I'm in season 2 of this series called Sorry for Your Loss, starring Elizabeth Olsen. It's on Facebook Watch. It's a show where she. Hey man, look, I
Facebook Watch. Hey, did you guys see the new Kenneth Branagh drama that's on Venmo?
Fuck you guys, man. Hey, look, I'm an Elizabeth Olsen fan way before fucking WandaVision. I don't know if it was your podcast, JL, or mine, where we did like a draft, like a Hollywood movie draft.
I think it was mine, but yeah, no, she was an early.
You put your shot, you got early.
I had her, like, if I could make my own, like, produce my own movie, it would star Elizabeth Olsen, Michael B. Jordan, and Christopher Nolan,
and Haley Lou Richardson.
I was in win now mode with my draft, and Chris was building.
Yeah.
He was building an infrastructure.
You were doing the process.
Yeah, and it worked. That shit worked. You see how Embiid before he got hurt was. What
was the indie she was in? Martha.
She made Marlene.
I knew she was going to be a star in that. She was great.
Yeah, I know.
You could just tell like she was going to be huge.
She's so good, man, and she's basically grieving over the loss of her husband that died unexpectedly, and she's uncovering stuff about him and about herself. It's just so.
On Facebook. Look, you have to. Here's how you watch it. You have to comment on your racist aunt's status update, and then you get the code. You put the code in, and then you get to watch.
You know what I do because I'm not a laptop watcher. Like I don't like to watch stuff on my laptop unless I'm like away doing a gig or something. But I just do the mirror screen on my phone and then play it through that. But it also stars Janet McTeer, who I did a scene with in what's that show that I did? What's the show with the girl private detective?
Jessica Jones.
She threw me up against the wall.
Oh.
Janet McTeer
Chris is going to be the first actor to have to look up his own IMDb to answer a question.
No.
What the hell was I in?
but it's really good. It's kind of heavy. So like, it's not, but yeah, Succession. And I finished that. I loved it. And Sorry for Your Loss is what I'm into.
I'm a huge fan. If I'm putting stock in someone on that show, even though he's done other things, I love, is it McFadden? The guy who plays Tom Wamsgans, like the cuck son-in-law.
Yeah.
I see, because for me, there's a lot of like, I don't want to say one-dimensional characters, but they're one-dimensional in terms of they're always scheming.
Yeah.
But his character seems to be the one, and he's also like an accomplished actor, so I don't think he'd take like a bullshit part. He starts as like the little bitch, but he's starting to become, he wanted so bad. He sweat this family so much, but between his wife cheating and like seeing the family kind of throwing each other in the bus, he looks like the guy who's got like wheels turning in his head. I think he's so good.
And you see that by the end of season 2, and then you think that Greg is your in as an audience member, but they're all pieces of shit. Yeah. All of them. I don't care how cute Shiv is, but they're all pieces of shit. Okay.
Can I tell my Kieran Culkin story?
Sure, go ahead.
Bar none, like 2008, I was hanging out. I used to produce a show there, but this is before I produced a show there. Mm-hmm. And they were doing a giveaway where if you beat Mike Tyson, they had the Nintendo set up. If you beat Mike Tyson, you won a free pitcher of beer. And Kieran Culkin was there, and he kept beating Mike Tyson. Mm-hmm. And I've done it a million times in my childhood, but I hadn't played in a while, so I was struggling. And then he was like trying to give me pointers, and I was getting annoyed at him. I'm like, dude, I've beaten it a million times. And he actually told me something I didn't know, and I remember. And then my friend Rob at the time was like, dude, you're going to let Kieran Culkin beat you at Mike Tyson? And then eventually I got it. But I always remember that. He was excellent at Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and he won beer for a bunch of people because he kept beating the game.
That makes me feel like such a fan now of Kieran Culkin. Yeah, that's such a good story.
He beat it like 3 or 4 times, and like I eventually did it, but it took me like 2 hours. Like I wanted to go home. I was tired, and I didn't even take the beer when I beat it. I just wanted to prove that I could do it because I used to do it a lot when I was a kid. Great guy though. It was
that's cool. That's good to know because he is
a good story. It's not a bad story.
That's a great story. That's good. It's always nice when it's a nice story because it's easy to tell those piece of shit stories, you know? Should
I get in on Succession? I haven't watched it.
It's terrific. Yeah, you should.
It's on my list of like maybes. Like there's just so much.
No, it's legit. I had watched it week to week when it first debuted, just because I was like, oh yeah, I'll watch. Like it's HBO. But I didn't find myself getting into it, and I stopped after a few episodes. But then hearing a lot about it before the second season began, I binged it with my girlfriend, and like by the end of the season, something about binging it, I felt helped it because it's a little bit of a slow burn. So like sometimes the problem nowadays, like I said, is there's so much stuff out there that you start to lower your threshold for like, I don't know about Succession. These first 2 episodes were okay, but there's 19 other shows that I've been told I need to watch. So, but yeah, no, Succession is definite.
It's a great show to immerse yourself in. You know, it's really
you're hitting on a mentality that we had like, you know, before like so many streaming platforms where you would just you would have the time to watch a show and you could let it develop, and you know maybe it's on HBO Sunday nights and you're letting it develop. It's like week to week. That's how we're used to watching shows. Where now, you're right. It's like, I watched like 10 minutes of the pilot and it just didn't do it for me. It's like it's just totally different how we are now with what we're okay with.
Or like 10 years ago, I remember I was at a work, and that summer, it was like 10 years ago, I was like, I've never seen The West Wing. So I took 2 months and just was like, that's what I watched. I wasn't like, oh no, there's 8 other. It was just like, yeah, I'm just going to watch The West Wing for 2 months and like a couple of shows at night that are on TV. Instead, you got 8 platforms dumping like 4 movies and 3 shows every week.
Yeah. It just, I think it depends on my TV watching style. I think it was just like through college, I had to watch Dawson's Creek. I had to watch Felicity. And then by the time I got to grad school, people were watching Smallville. My friends, my people in my circle. And then kind of after grad school, after you're not around people that you're normally around a lot, nobody kind of gives a shit or nobody talks about it. So, and then because that was before like social media got like really crazy, like 2005. And so you just kind of watch stuff on your own time. Then you had the summer, you had the off season to catch up on stuff. And you could get a DVD box set and say, oh, let me catch up. Like I caught up on Lost and then, got into it week to week. And then, around, I mean, if you have a pursuit like what we have, doing comedy, you don't get to see everything. You kind of see stuff on your own time. And then with Netflix, it's just kind of like, if you like this show, you're going to like Last Chance U basketball. That shit came out last week on Wednesday. I was, doing work and stuff. I had that shit. I absorbed it in one day. I mean, that's what I meant. I feel like just in the last several years, I
I never can watch anything. Like I'll make a priority, like Narcos is a show that like when that debuts, I'm going to watch that. That's going to preempt something else. But it's just, it's weird to say this, but I just feel like it's too much. Like it really is too much. Like somebody will tell me Peaky Blinders, and a lot of people have told me that's a really good show. Mm-hmm. And then I'll be like there's like a 6th season coming out. And I'm just like, fuck you, Peaky Blinders. Like, no, you could be the best ever. And I'm just never going to get to you. Like I've had the X-Files on my Hulu for like 5 years because I was like, oh, that's one of those big classic shows that I'd like to give it a try, even though I know some of it will be dated. I've never touched the X-Files. I'm just like, the idea of getting into something that's 200 episodes. The last thing I did was Smallville like 4 years ago. I actually watched exactly. I watched all of Smallville over the course of like 8 months. That was like
how great was Lionel Luthor?
That's the guy from Gremlin. Is that the father?
Yeah.
He was on what's so funny is he was the Donald Trump like parody in Gremlins 2, the new batch.
Okay.
And because that's the only thing I remembered him from. And in my head, I was like, oh, he was good in that. I'm glad he was working. Because sometimes I think about actors where I'm like, that guy was really good in that. I wonder if he did anything else. And then you realize like 20 years later, oh, he was on like 5 seasons of a TV show. Good for him.
John Glover. What a fucking
great Gremlins 2, Paul. I saw that in the theater, just me and my mom. That was the only one. I was Saturday matinee. I begged her to take me to Gremlins 2, and we were the only 2 in the theater.
I loved Gremlins 2. I thought it was hysterical. Like when I saw it.
They changed the speed of it. Like Gremlins, the first one was a little dark.
It was almost a horror.
Different pacing, and Gremlins 2 was just like a straight up comedy.
Yeah.
And, I don't know how it would hold up now, but
there's like a transgender gremlin, which would probably be canceled.
Yeah, you can't have that. But I liked it as a kid. I was happy. I didn't know what the white people didn't like.
Gizmo's ass was too fat in the original, so they're gonna.
Then they said they're gonna reboot it. I said my lame joke on Twitter was that instead of don't feed them after midnight, the Magwas are intermittent fasting.
Yeah, John Glover was a monster on that show. He was just so much better than everybody. He ate those other cast members for breakfast. I liked until, and then of course, since I was like a decade behind Smallville, everybody was dropping like knowledge they had on me. Cause I was like, the first 6 seasons were like really consistent. It's cheesy, but it was like consistent and you're like enjoying it. I think I called it on my podcast. Like it's a glass of milk with some cookies. Like it's good enough. But then I think some writers got fired. And they had like a new writing staff. The last couple seasons were like terrible. I was just like, what the hell is this?
You guys didn't even know when you were watching the most interesting element of the show, which is the NXIVM cult.
Right.
Which is Kristen, what's her name? Kruk?
Kristen Cruitt got out. She
got out before. I think it's believable that she got out before shit like really went down. And then obviously Allison Mack, who did she get sentenced yet?
I'm not sure.
I don't think she did.
No, I just thought like Kristen Cruitt was just like, oh, I'll see what's up, and then she's like, nah, y'all are crazy. Yeah, because she did Michael Rosenbaum's podcast, and she was just saying,
that's Lex Luthor.
Yeah, that's Lex Luthor.
Does he currently have a podcast?
He does have a podcast. Yeah, it's called Inside of You. I think that's what it's called.
But he was very good on that show too, I thought, and then he didn't show up for like 3 seasons. Until like the last episode. It was weird.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we can move on. Let's move on to our favorite / best movies of 2020 or of the cycle of films that came out this year. I picked 10, and it was a hard pick for me. And I have some honorable mentions. I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Probably could have more. But Jeff, why don't you start with how many do you have? Like maybe your first 4 or 5 that you have, like your bottom 5?
I put 9.
9, okay.
And I put 2 doc series I liked. Is that on? That would be those are my honorable mentions. Two doc series that I really enjoyed that I thought were excellent.
Well, let's go through your top first, and we'll do honorable mentions last.
Okay. Well, the films I put 9. So you want me to do the bottom half?
Yeah, that's what I think we did a version of that last year. Your bottom, like your 9 through what?
Okay, so the films I like that I thought stood out. I mean, let me see here. So I put this film Shithouse that I gave a lot of credit to because of. Did you see Shithouse? Or you never heard of it?
Jeff,
JL?
we talked about it on the podcast.
No, JL, he's making.
I've never even heard of it.
Shithouse. It's edgy, bro. It won. I don't know if it won South by Southwest, but it won an award. It was made by like a 23-year-old filmmaker. And I kind of really respected what he did, that he just kind of like made this film. He was like, just kind of like got the money for it, did it, directed it, starred in it. I don't know if he edited it, but I thought it was good. And I give him a lot of credit to what he did. And I just sent you, Chris, the thing the other day that he's directing something like bigger now. So he looks like
Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, with Dakota Johnson, who's great. She gets a lot of like people know her from like the 50 Shades movies, but she's really good. Like if you see her in something like what was the movie? The one the Rain and the Murder. What was that one? The Hidden Money. I'm blanking on the name.
Oh, Bad Times at the El Royale.
Yeah, that movie was fine. Like it wasn't great, but she was fantastic in it. She was really charismatic and really good. So you see her in something like 50 Shades, just kind of flat. They don't have chemistry. It kind of sucks, that series. And then you see something like that, and you're like, oh, she's actually really talented. So I put Shithouse. I put Judas and the Black Messiah. I thought that was pretty good, which is probably on your list, I assume, because I know you really enjoyed it. I put Promising Young Woman just because I thought it was kind of interesting what they went for. I don't think it was like fantastic, but I think it was good what they went for, and I think they tried some things. And then I put the Charlie Kaufman movie, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which is kind of a chore to get through, but I thought it was really interesting what he did, and I think he like went for some things that like were like, again, it's a kind of a chore to get through. That's I think the best way to describe it. It's not like the best movie to watch. I would never ever watch it again.
Well,
but
if you have to look at,
and I think he does really interesting things.
Looking at Jesse Buckley doesn't hurt.
Sure.
And you like that more than I did. Okay.
I did like it. And again, when it was over, it was kind of one of those movies, like when it was over, I was like, what was it? And the more I thought about it, I was kind of like, I kind of really liked it, what they were doing there. And it was kind of like, it kind of struck something in me. But again, just like watching like annoying conversations with annoying people in an annoying car ride, you're kind of like, all right, what is this? So it is a chore to get through, but it was good overall. So that's just some films I put on the back end that I really enjoyed this year.
Okay.
Again, Promising Woman, it's like I didn't think it was the best film that I saw.
Jeff rewards taking chances.
Yes. I thought it was.
I've got it higher than you got it.
I was surprised it was nominated Best Picture, but I thought it was, again, what they were doing with it was something different than, some of the other stuff I saw this year that's a little more conventional.
I think they took some big swings with that Emerald. Some really big swings, like Christopher Nolan, except she connected on more than Nolan did. I got that higher than you, way higher than you.
Well, but the thing about that movie, I'll just say real quick, she's really good. It was shot really well. The colors in it are phenomenal, like the color scheme and the pastels they had in it. And like the stunt casting worked. She casted like nice guys in the role of like these abusive guys like Bo Burnham, the dude from Sam Richardson. I'm blanking out who else in it, but it was traditional like nice guys. I'm doing quotes.
We did a really deep dive into it with Brandon.
They're all like, McLovin. That's certainly stunt casting. When you cast McLovin to be like an asshole,
it was very specific. Yeah.
You're casting these.
Stop talking about it. It's in your bottom half. Why are you talking about it so much?
Anyway, so there you go. That's my list. I thought it was really good what she was doing. Okay, you go. I'm not allowed to say anymore. You go.
JL.
I only came up with a top 5, so I'm going to give you my honorable mention as my bottom portion because I didn't see. I'll give you 3 movies right off the top that I didn't see yet. Promising Young Woman, or maybe just 2. Promising Young Woman and Minari, which I know are, very hotly contested award movies. So I haven't seen those yet. I did watch Nomadland last night. I walked out with 15 minutes left. I hated it.
Well, you went to the theater?
No, I walked out of my living room and just started doing chores around the house. It was a real protest. I was like, I'm just going to be in another room while this is finishing up. It's not me just saying it was bad or anything. I was just like, I don't know what happened to me. A lot happened to me this year, but in terms of, I'm now at this phase where I'm just like, if I'm not enjoying this, and I don't mean enjoying it like it has to be a happy story, but if I'm not getting anything out of a movie, either deep feeling or information or enjoyment, I'm just like, so I didn't enjoy Nomadland at all.
What did you think of that? Jeff and I talked about this off air. What did you think about the Amazon portion of that? Oh, as I got you eating.
Well, since I didn't know really much about the movie other than she lives in a van down by the river, I thought it might have been more of a corporate. I didn't know where it was going. I was like, oh, she works at a big Amazon factory. Are they going to show like how mindless and abusive or like tough it is to just be one of these underappreciated cogs?
That's what I thought too.
But it wasn't.
But I don't think it was, though. Was it not that? I mean, you're talking about people that work these jobs and then they get fucked over anyway. That they work these jobs and like a lot of them like lose it and then they're just kind of like out of luck.
Somebody on Twitter, I think it was I'm not sure if it was Allison Kilkenny. She was saying that I think she just wrote her a letter and wrote Amazon a letter. Frances McDormand wrote them a letter and they let them film there. But it was just something about Amazon being there. It felt weird. Like it was just like this big corporation and they just kind of dropped these people. I guess there's a certain season, maybe it was a Christmas season, where they hire a bunch of people to deal with a heavy volume, and then they just let them go, I guess. But Amazon paid for the hotel, the housing, I think.
But we're taking things that we know that exist in real life to this movie. You know that Amazon fights like unions. You know Amazon's policy, like basically Jeff Bezos doesn't want people to go take a shit because you have to go, ship, whatever to people, like, and we know these things exist. So when you apply it to the movie, I think it adds to it that it's like they get seasonal workers, gets busy around Christmas, and then they're just kind of tossed out.
No, I liked it. No, I liked that it was there.
I have it in my top 5. I thought it was excellent.
I was just surprised that it was there because it was
not
like
doing chores in the second half. I was engaged.
I thought I liked it. I just didn't like it as much as you. But I did like it. I did like it.
Oh, so now that I've been negative, I'm just going to give 3 movies. And I've not seen as many movies as I usually see and not as many as you two this year. I was busy becoming an internet icon. But
sure.
The 3 I'll just add that that popped into mind. I was literally just racking my brain throughout everything going, what did I like this year? Like, what did I just see that I was like, oh, I like that. Or I found that interesting. So the bottom 3, Soul did not make it because I just felt like it was fine. Like and I'm a huge Pixar guy, but I just thought it was like, that was nice. Like I enjoyed myself. But Pixar sets the bar so high for itself. Like for me, Coco is like the last Pixar movie I saw that like blew me away. Like I was just like, this is like utterly beautiful and like meaningful and so well executed. But so I'm just going to say Judas and the Black Messiah. Obviously, if I had a top 8, I guess this would be in the top 8. But I just felt like I was disappointed this year, so I only made a top 5. One Night in Miami, also just thought it was like very solid, and I enjoyed the experience of watching it. And the first of 2 documentaries, once again, I didn't see a lot of documentaries, but I did really like My Octopus Teacher, which is nominated for Best Documentary. It was the kind of year where I felt like, I lost, like my uncle passed away last year, and obviously it was just a bad year. So like things about life and nature were like just a little bit, it felt a little more connected. And I thought that was a a documentary that kind of started slow, but by the end of it, you're like, I felt very invested and thought it was really a really nice movie.
Where'd you watch that?
It's on Netflix.
My Octopus Teacher.
It's on Netflix.
Oh, it is
Netflix.
Okay.
Is it me or did it sounds like your volume went way down.
Your audio went.
My audio's down.
Oh, you're good now.
Fine.
I think it's my XLR cable. I got to get that fixed. All right. And that was your bottom. Oh, you're eating. JL is eating. Sorry.
That was the that was leading up to my top 5.
Okay, sure. Okay, well, I'll give you guys my bottom. I have The High Note, starring Dakota Johnson. Oh my God, what is wrong with me?
Is that the one with Tracy Ellis Ross?
Tracy Ellis Ross.
Really?
Kelvin Harrison Jr. I fucking love this movie. It was hard for me to where to place this.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna leave it off, but I think it gave me that if I were to see this in the movie, I would be very pleasantly surprised at how good it was, because it just hit the notes for a Hollywood like movie with a little romance, a little bit of drama, sweetness. Kelvin Harrison Jr. is like, he's so good that you can't even be jealous of him. Like, I loved him in Loose. I loved him in Waves. And then this motherfucker can sing too. It's like, you kind of could almost be like, fuck you, dude. But it was a movie disguise. It was a Dakota Johnson movie disguise. Is that better?
Very good.
Is that better? And I think it's a Tracy Ellis Ross, Dakota Johnson movie, but it's Kelvin Harrison steals it. And it was just a pleasant movie that I felt like I had to get in there. I struggled with this list. Boys State is my number 9 that none of you liked. Well,
I didn't see it.
Jeff didn't want to see it.
No, I did not want to see it. I didn't see it.
You didn't want to see it. And JL did not like it as much as I did. But it was about these kids in Texas, and they do this mock election in Austin, and it's a lot of intrigue and these fake political parties, and you kind of get to see these kids do what the adults do. How do you kind of categorize that? That's
I think that was thought of as a major snub in the documentary category.
I thought it was
critics loved that. Like, that got huge. The reviews for that were really, really strong.
Yeah, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, 84 on Metacritic. In an unusual experiment, 1,017-year-old boys from Texas joined together to build a representative government from the ground up. I thought there were moments of this that were really compelling. And the main subject, young kid who becomes the main subject, was really compelling. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I do recommend it if you have Apple TV Plus to check it out, because I was moved by it. I did tear up a little bit. I was kind of, with this list, I was trying to go with films that moved me, that made me feel something, or had just like really strong performances. So my number 8 is Black Bear, which is a movie that stars Aubrey Plaza and Christopher Abbott. It's about a young woman who goes to this cabin, and I believe it's upstate New York, and she is experiencing writer's block. And it's kind of like, how would you say, Jeff? Is it like 2 separate stories, or the kind of, let's see.
Yeah, it's like 2 separate versions of the same story. It's playing on, like, she's a writer, and it's playing with narrative. I really enjoyed Black Bear. It's really good.
Yeah, that's one that I saw at the virtual film festival for the Montclair Film Festival.
Yeah, me too.
And it's written and directed by Lawrence Michael Levine, and it's available on streaming wherever you can stream movies. And I really and I thought Aubrey Plaza kind of came out of her shell in this one, I would say. Just like really emotional, really unhinged performance. Just really good. She's not just like, because before this, she's kind of almost been like one note, even though like I like her in just about everything she's in. She's almost just like this, like I don't know, just kind of like
monotone,
the monotone, sarcastic type.
She's like the elevation of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. She's like kind of like a hipster Manic Pixie Dream Girl. She's very like sarcastic and monotone, and she's shown a little range in this, and in Goes West. She showed like a little different range, and she's great.
Definitely, and I think I mentioned on the pod not too long ago that if you pair, that's a good double feature if you want to get into some Aubrey Plaza. My number 7 is this film called Driveways with Brian Dennehy, the late great Brian Dennehy, Hong Chow from the Alexander Payne Shrinking movie. What is that? Downsizing. And Lucas J. And it's just about this lonely kid who goes with his mother to clean out his late aunt's house. And the next door neighbor, they form this, the little boy forms this unlikely friendship with Brian Dennehy's character, who's the widower and a war veteran. And it's just like a really sweet movie. And again, like it was just something that was very endearing and sweet and not super saccharine in the way that it becomes like, well, fuck this, you know? So that's available to watch on Showtime. And that was 6. So give me your top 5, Jeff.
Okay, here's my top 5. And again, I didn't like see everything. I think that's the sentiment here. We're all saying that we didn't see everything, but these are the 5 films probably I enjoyed the most this year. Number 5, I put Borat 2, which was just awesome. It just really like lived up to the hype. It was really good, really smart. I was shocked she got an Oscar nom. Not that she didn't deserve it, but that comedy never gets nominated. So it kind of just, it kind of was like, we're in the pandemic, we're all home, the country's disgusting. It kind of just got it right. He really nailed it. So Borat 2, number 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's 5. Then I put this movie that I really love, this sci-fi movie called Possessor that was done by David Cronenberg's son, which I usually don't like the nepotism. Like Barry Levinson's kid, like, gets to do whatever the hell he wants.
Fucking, you really got to think.
But Cronenberg's kid, I got to say, I remember you texted me. You're like, dude, you got to see Possessor. And your quote was, they're not fucking around.
No, they weren't.
Not. It's not too gory. Like my girlfriend liked it, who does not like gory.
Is that on anything or is that on demand?
Yeah. It's on Hulu now.
I was on Hulu. It's just like, it's this really creative movie with like, what would you say? Like Chris, these assassins get hired. It's like this, you hire them to go kill someone and you can take possession of someone's body.
Like if I wanted to kill JL, I could.
You could, let's say you'd take me and you'd hijack my body. So you're doing it, but I'm going to be on the rap for the murder. It's really creative. It's really good. And it's really fucking raw. So I really love Possessor. Number 3, I put Nomadland, which I thought was fantastic. You know, you didn't like it. I get it's not for everyone, but hey, man, she shit in a
bucket.
She shit in a bucket. She deserves the Oscar. It's really good, and it's a take on kind of just again like you're just a cog in the system. Like, yeah, I thought it was sad. Like I listened to somebody, the director, and she was like, "It's really hopeful." It was an interview with her and Frances McDormand, and they were talking about how it's hopeful. And I was like, man, I felt sad that entire movie. I didn't feel it was hopeful. She didn't want help. She was really stubborn. At no point was I like, this is awesome. It's sad getting old, but it did have an effect on me. I really liked it. 2, I put The Sound of Metal, which is fantastic. I don't know if he's going to win the Oscar. He certainly is a deserving candidate. JL, did you see Sound of Metal?
I did.
Did you like it?
Why don't you wait till I give my?
Okay. I feel like you would like. I feel like you'd be like, Riz Ahmed was a beast in Sound of Metal. A beast. Fuck everyone else. He deserved the award because he was so.
What has Riz Ahmed got to die now to get the Oscar he deserves? Too far. Too far.
He's not gonna.
Too far.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. that movie was so good, and it wasn't just Oscar bait. It wasn't like the Freddie Mercury bullshit. Like, it was really good. And,
hell yeah.
The way it was handled, just like the idea of like having disability, and like it was just such a great movie. Number one, this movie, and Chris knows where I'm going.
It's on my Hulu list. It just went up on Hulu.
Love this movie. Another Round. And it got nominated Best Director, Best Foreign Movie. It is so good. I've never seen such a nuanced take on drinking. The idea that these guys want to get like buzzed. They think that they'll be better versions of themselves if they get buzzed. What was it, like 0.5 blood alcohol level? And it was just really well done. That guy's like a master storyteller. What is it, like Thomas Wittenberg? What's his name? Wittenberg? I'm blanking on his name. But anyway, he's nominated Best Director. The movie's so good. Everyone's great in it. It's really like nuanced. It's not against drinking. It's just kind of like a really smart look at it. And when it was done, I was like, I didn't enjoy anything as much as that. That was fantastic. Best movie I saw this year.
JL, I like
Yes.
this. What about you?
Okay. 5 is a movie I almost forgot, but I remembered. And the only reason it might get disqualified, I think it came out in 2020. Like it was like in my list so long on Netflix that I was like, but I think it came out in early 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
But that's fine.
Soldier, Father, Son, this documentary that like the New York Times did and like put it up on Netflix. It's a 10-year, it's basically like a much more depressing version of Boyhood, except it's real. They follow this guy with his 2 kids, and he's like deployed in, I want to say Afghanistan or Iraq, but it checks in with him obviously through the years. It is so depressing, but it's also one of those movies where you go, this is not in like a patriotic, rah way, but it's like, this is the toll that like war and service can take on just a regular family. It was on Netflix, and I think it came out early 2020, but it was depressing. It was, but like, that's an example of like what Nomadland might have done for you. Like I felt at the end of that movie, I felt like drained, and not because it's like nonstop depressing, but there's shit that happens in that is just like such a gut, like so gut punchy. So that just like when I was rattling through what I saw this year, I was like, well, that's definitely one of the most impactful things I saw. Number 4, I very much liked Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I like Fences. I remember thinking the same thing about Fences with the movie Fences, where something about movies that were plays, the first half hour always feels very play. Like it feels like they didn't adapt the first half hour, that it's just like, hey man, why don't you go over there? And you're like, this is like stage acting. And then like once the movie gets going, it's like, it's a movie. And I thought that, like, even though I knew I had an idea of where the movie was going already, because I've never seen or read the play, I still was just like, this is good stuff. Like I just really enjoyed it. Number 3, Sound of Metal.
Beast.
Ahmed's a beast. Yeah, it was just in a different year. This, maybe if I had seen more stuff in the theater, this might have been like lower on my top 10. But yeah, it was just very good and very raw, and like I liked it. And we've all seen it, I assume.
Yes.
Chris, I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm just saying in terms of the ending, I'm a sucker for movies with a happy ending that isn't the happy ending that you see coming, or that like a usual movie would have. Like you're sort of supposed to feel good at the end, even though it's not necessarily like happy. It's like a moment. It's like, I don't want to get, you know what I mean? I don't want to tip it, but it's like, you have a reason for optimism, even if it's not a happy ending. The optimism is like growth, or optimism is the happy ending, potential or possibility. 2, Borat 2. Because Bruno is still probably my favorite, actually, of his movies. But Borat 2 is number 2 on my list, basically because of the strength of a few scenes in that movie. Like the father-daughter like debutante ball to me was probably the hardest I laughed all year. I think it was the hardest I laughed all year. And what I would say about that woman, I'd be fine if she won the Oscar, and she could, but I think they do often, like a Melissa McCarthy, like the comedy category, more often than not, they're okay with like one woman getting in for comedy. But I hope she actually, without going into who was nominated, if she won, totally okay with that.
I'd be kind of bummed out if she won.
Who for who?
Yeah, best supporting actress. Because
I'm saying for who? Like, who would you want?
In this category, probably Coleman or.
Did you see The Father?
I did. Yeah,
I want to see that. I'm looking forward to that.
We'll talk about it, but yeah.
Okay, but obviously then I can't speak to every, and my number one movie, which Jeff didn't mention, which makes me sad, but it spoke to me very deeply. The 40-year-old version on Netflix. It's the one movie that I actually felt like I didn't just enjoy, but I like loved it. I loved pretty much everything about it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was well made. I thought it was another one of those, it's a movie with like, there's no sellout moment. There's no like everything ends up, but you feel good. Like you feel righteous and good at the end of it. Like I just thought it took me by surprise. I just watched it because I'd heard some things about it and had no expectations, and I loved it.
Yeah, when they get to that last sequence at the end, it's just fucking incredible. The play, when her play finally, oh my God. It's just.
But it doesn't go, what's great about it to me is it doesn't go in either direction. It doesn't go like, it's this, sometimes you have to make these compromises, but then it goes too far and like, this is a piece of crap. Like I don't want to ruin it, but it was
it's very measured. And then I think when you get it, and it's just so funny, like there was a shot of some character. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but there was one character that was just really enjoying the play. It was just like a cut to this character, and you wouldn't think they would like it like that, but he was really enjoying it. I forget what it. I want to see it again, but I love that movie. So I actually have that at number 5 because again, like it was also a very pleasant movie. As much as it was well written and well acted and just put together really well, it was refreshing. It was a breath of fresh air that in these troubling times, that was just very pleasant to see. It's like, okay, here's a comedy. This is funny. It's real. It definitely makes sense.
While we're just still on it before you move on to number 4. Yeah, that's one of those movies though that like I almost take it personally that it's not nominated because it feels like it represents so much of what Hollywood is trying to push now, and like it's a Black woman for like filmmaker, artist doing her own thing, making a critically acclaimed movie that's funny, but in my mind I'm going, is this like a meta thing where, but you know what? If she had gone the extra mile and almost done what like the play producer wants, if she'd taken that a little more trauma, a little more, would this have gotten like 8 nominations if she literally had done what the movie was making fun of, which is like, if she had added in some like deep, like as a Black woman, look at the struggle and the trauma, I think it then gets like 4 nominations.
I think it's so funny to me. I gave you shit for when you first tweeted about it. I was like, is J.O. being hacked? What the fuck is going on? Like you're watching Blackish and you like this indie art house movie?
No, I love this movie because to me, it's obviously it's
definitely very
obvious.
To you. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was like, I'm like enjoying just remembering the movie right now. I just thought it was funny from start to finish, and it wasn't like she didn't become some like the way, oh, if she had become some killer battle rapper, like then maybe Hollywood would have been like, yes, 6 nominations. She finds her voice. And no, she had a voice. That's the whole point of the movie. Like, she knows what she wants to do. It's about getting other people to buy in.
Right.
And it was like, I just had that thought though, as you were talking, where I was like, yeah, maybe if she had gone, the meta joke about this movie is if she had gone that extra step and made it a little more ridiculous, a little more painful or something, it maybe gets more of that. Yes, this is a powerful film that we need from trust Black women. And, we would have gotten a lot of that. And instead, all we got was like an awesome movie. But it's like, and I have my own thoughts on this, saving it for my next album, but it's sometimes with certain crowds, it's not just about, are you a person whose story they should be listening to, but do you make them feel righteous and good for listening to your story? And this isn't a movie that's like applauding the audience for loving Black women. It's just like, nope, it's just a Black woman who's putting her art there and made a great movie with no extra.
I think of some of the praise that, I'm not going to say that. I'll just say that it's almost like it's to people like us that love movies. It is a great film, but then at the same time, it's like the theater scene. That's a thing in and of, that's a very niche, might even be a New York, might even be like a thing that's a little too elevated on some level.
Do you listen to Bill Simmons? Do both of you listen to Bill Simmons?
No, sometimes I do.
He had one with Wesley Morris, the sort of film culture critic for the Times. That's like on his podcast a lot. Yeah. And the way he had something, I don't often agree with Wesley Morris like lockstep, but on his Oscar episode, I was just like, wow, I'm like, he's checking off everything in my head. And he said, for anybody who's feels like they can't watch Woody Allen movies anymore, that they're just, he said, why don't you try the 40-year-old version? Because this woman could be some New York filmmaker telling these kind of stories. And it was like, in my head, I hadn't made that connection, but I was like, that's a great, like, that's a good call. Who knows if she's made one great movie, in my opinion. She obviously there's a talent there, but that's not guaranteeing somebody's going to go on a streak of 8 great movies. But still, I thought it was a very high compliment to be like, if you want to see that kind of story, like that kind of expert legendary storytelling, try this movie. But it's the guilt. You won't have the guilt.
It's great. It's a terrific movie. And it would have been higher until I saw The Father earlier this week, and it's like Anthony Hopkins, Olivia Colman, and it's a man that's Anthony Hopkins plays a man who's basically going into senility, and it's a very interesting way this story was told, because I don't really want to spoil anything. I'll just say what I just said. And Anthony Hopkins, anytime you can really feel real feelings for Anthony Hopkins, the guy who played Hannibal Lecter, obviously it was like 30 years ago or so, but my God, holy shit. And I don't know, it's because my parents are older now or there's stuff that I'm dealing with my parents, but my God, is it good. I wasn't expecting, when I saw the nominations on Monday, I was okay, well, I got the screener for it and I'll watch it, but I was just like, oh, okay, we'll see.
Right.
It's like, we'll fucking see. And then it's like, oh my God,
The reviews I read of that, though, made me very pumped to see it, because every critic was like, this isn't your typical, like, oh no, dad's losing it. It's like raw and like intense and upsetting. Like multiple critics were like, this movie is upsetting.
And I felt the same way that I felt about, how we would joke about, what was it, 2013, 2014, when Captain Phillips came out, and it was
Hanks at the end.
Yeah, it was like Hank said. It was like, oh shit, Chiwetel's not going to win. But I think we know that most people know that Chadwick Boseman is probably going to win Best Actor. So, I thought like if maybe Chad was alive, maybe he steals it. But
or Riz Ahmed. That's the other thing, is that like it's a 3-way race, but it would be a 3-way race, I think, in a normal year.
Yes, it would be. Yeah.
Which would be exciting. No offense to Chadwick Boseman's memory, but it would be exciting to be like, wow, 3 top tier, who knows who's getting it. I miss races like that at the Oscars. And it seems by the time the night comes, it's like everybody knows who's going to win everything.
Yeah, it's usually pretty locked. Like, oh, Joaquin Phoenix is it's usually pretty locked, a lot of these awards. So, I agree they're going to give it to him, Chadwick Boseman. I would be shocked if they don't. But it would be a compelling case. I didn't see The Father, but Riz Ahmed, certainly, like when I saw that, I was like, oh, he's going to win, not thinking anything else.
Well, it's like, we'll get to that. I'm going to move on to number 3. And
it seems like it becomes locks. Like why was it that Rami Malek had to win? Why was it that Renee Zellweger had to win for Judy? I feel like as soon as I hear about the Oscars, it's like January, like December. Normally, it's like this person has to win this award. It's their God-given right for them to win this Oscar. But that's how it usually is. Is it not the best actor and actress award?
Obviously, something
this
leaks.
Person is winning it. Everyone, shut the fuck up. This person is winning it. It is their right. Rami Malek played Freddie Mercury. He is winning the award, and there's like no debate. I feel like that's how it always is now.
Chad laid that shit down in Ma Rainey. I mean, when I found out he was going to play Levy, because I know the play, and I like used to do that scene and that monologue and scene study. Not as good at me at 21 years old doing that shit, but like when I knew that he was playing that role, because we've normally seen him be, I'm dignified, I'm Jackie Robinson, I'm Thurgood Marshall, I'm X guy, but this Levy character was an asshole, for good reason, for the stuff that happened to him. But it was a showy role in a way that we'd never seen him before, And
I hate to say this because I'm not trying to take anything away from someone's performance, but it makes you wonder when you're hearing his dialogue and his anger at when you're going. I mean, when they're filming that, you can see how thin he had gotten.
Yeah,
and you're thinking like my guess is that he's tapping into the deepest of emotions that are completely real about his own life.
He laid it down, man. Yeah. He put his soul out there. So it's just like, that's an undeniable performance. It just happens that it's like, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Clyde Drexler played in the era of Michael Jordan, and he was Jordan this year, going for it. We'll get into it. At 3, I've got Promising Young Woman. It's the only film that I saw like in early 2020, just saw the previews for it and was like, okay, Carey Mulligan, I like her. This is interesting. This is going to be something. It was something that it ended up not being what I thought it was going to be. And I ended up feeling bummed out at the end, feeling a way that it made me feel things that I wasn't prepared to feel. And it definitely, like, Jeff was talking about the stunt casting of all these quote unquote nice guys that end up being despicable. I liked what she was doing with that, Emerald Fennell, and I thought it was great. And I thought that Carey Mulligan performance, oh shit, I skipped one. I skipped my number 6. I had Pieces of a Woman, the Vanessa Kirby, Shia LaBeouf movie. Amazing performance from Vanessa Kirby. I'm kind of rooting for her and Carey Mulligan.
Is Shia LaBeouf an honorary white starlet for you?
No, he was guy that I was pushing for just as an American actor. That's not like, he does American roles. And when you hear him in the interviews, he's not, well, I thought with this character, I was going to, so I was rooting for him, and he'll be back. He'll be back. He'll rehabilitate himself. He was on a good little run, and this could have fucked up Vanessa Kirby's nomination. We didn't think at the time I was unsure that she would get nominated because of him.
Also, my thoughts and prayers for Armie Hammer. I just want to get that out on your podcast.
Number 2, I got Sound of Metal. Riz Ahmed. This movie was great, like you guys have been saying. When I saw it, I was just like, he's got to get some hardware, but that's,
he got he got like a big indie, like a Gotham or something, or Spirit Award, like one of the indie awards.
Fantastic performance. Great film all around. Darius Martyr, who's a partner with Derek C. in France, who gave us The Place Beyond the Pines, and which was probably, God, that's got to be that's somewhere in one of my all-time favorite movies. The Last of Us Part 2, kind of based on that. Number 1, I've got Judas and the Black Messiah. Wire to wire, compelling film. Shout out to the Lucas brothers. I did an open mic with them. I didn't work with them. I just did like one open mic when we were starting out. Really rooting for them, especially in the writing category. And I think this movie was really great. Again, feeling something. There's a speech that Daniel Kaluuya gives in this church scene that's just drove me to tears at 6:30 in the morning when I watched it, when it first came, when I woke up. Another thing, not the best movie to watch when you wake up in the morning, but a hell of a fucking performance from everybody in that. So those are my favorites. And
who was the lead in that? Was it Jesse Plemons? Was he the lead actor?
No, it's
no, I know. But
if you take this, so everybody's talking about this, but I think the studios are just trying to position these actors into getting the best position to win, because nobody's beating Chad in the best actor category. Nobody's beating Chaz. They're not going to beat Riz. And so the best supporting actor category, technically, Lakeith Stanfield is the lead of that movie. It's almost like that same format of Last King of Scotland, where you have, what's the white guy?
McAvoy.
James McAvoy is like the lead, but then, Forrest Whitaker was like this compelling character of Idi Amin. Same format as like Cry Freedom, Kevin Kline and Denzel in the Steve Biko part. So that's what I was looking at it as. And then somebody even brought up the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, where like Casey Affleck was, even though, he was the bad guy, he was still the lead. Mm-hmm. And then that Brad Pitt as Jesse James was the, interesting central character. So that's what I thought they were kind of going for, but they just lumped them in that category. This is like black people were trying to be mad for like, oh, it's because you fucking, no, it's just like nobody, they just want to try to put them in a category where they can win. I thought like Delroy Lindo was shut out, but he wasn't gonna win.
What did you think of like the Five Bloods? To me, I feel like, I don't know if Hollywood's trying to make it up to Spike Lee, like they shit on his greatest works, and now like anytime he comes out, there's hype. Like to me, like I recently just watched Malcolm X and Do the Right Thing again, and those are films that were totally robbed, like offensively, like Malcolm X was basically Spike Lee saying, if I give you a great classic Hollywood biopic starring one of your great actors in the prime of his career, will you give me 10 nominations like you would for any other movie like this? And they gave him 2. Cinematography, which is basically like saying, not the director, but his cameraman.
Yeah.
And Denzel Washington, who didn't win because it was Pacino's Career Achievement Award because they screwed him over. But Black Klansman I thought was good. But like the idea that that's way more absurd for him winning for that for the first time than like Scorsese winning for The Departed, even though that's also kind of absurd.
Well, we know what it is. It's the same as like even in the acting category with The Insider, where, what's my Russell Crowe should have won for that, but then he wins for Gladiator, which was also great. But that role, that portrayal of, what was it, Frank Wygant, whatever.
Wygant.
Wygant.
Was it Frank? Was his Jeffrey Wygant?
Jeffrey Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great performance. It's just that's how they do. We've been used to this. If you follow it like we do.
But the Five Bloods, I thought it was okay.
It's okay. Delroy, that monologue was fucking incredible. Just like, Ed Norton towards the end of 25th Hour. But it's Delroy just fucking killed that role.
But if Spike Lee was saying he felt like when Green Book won, when the Five Bloods didn't get nominated, I want to be like, Spike, this isn't the one. No, this isn't the oh my God, they took this from you.
Green Book was a good movie, quiet as it's kept. I don't know that it was better than, I don't think it was better than Black Klansman. I'm not sure. What else was nominated that year?
Here's what I want to say.
We only got a few minutes, and we got to do the Oscars.
What I'm going to say is, you guys are talking about a lot of things with who gets the Lifetime Achievement of Oscar, right? Like Al Pacino, well, they had to make it up for him. Oh, well, Spike's getting all these nominations now because he didn't get nominated for Malcolm X and Do the Right Thing, which I agree with what you're saying. But then someone like Rami Malek, why did he have to get the award?
No, he did not.
He's so young. He's going to get other nominations. Why do they feel so compelled to give him there?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Did you see The Little Things? I'm not sure Rami Malek is quite as good as we thought. The Little Things I thought The Little Things was bad.
Yeah, you guys hate.
I watched it and I fell asleep, and I never felt compelled to go watch it again.
I hated that movie.
I think Black Klansman was fine. By the way, it was fine. I thought the ending was a little yup, here it is. I thought it was a little surprising from a Spike Lee movie to be like that scene where the cops they got the racist cops, and it's look at that, the racist cops got their due. They're out of here. I thought it was a little and then he put in the Charlottesville footage, and I don't know if it worked what he was doing. It was fine. It was fine, but something like Do the Right Thing is so good, and it still holds up now, and it's so amazing what he was doing. He invented not that nobody was doing this before him, but he had a style that was copied so many times over that he kind of brought it to the forefront that I think he didn't get nominated because he was the new kid on the block. And they're well, okay, let's, same thing with Quentin Tarantino for Pulp Fiction. But then it's interesting when some people just get through right away and get.
Although he didn't Pulp Fiction win screenplay though?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. I don't remember, but he did not get directing, and they didn't get best movie.
Although that was a year though where I know people like to shit on Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump, Shawshank, and Pulp Fiction to me are three. You can argue which one you like or which is better, obviously.
Yeah, but I think those are three. Bad. Shawshank is fine, and Pulp Fiction is great. So they're stuff.
I think they're all great in their own sphere.
Forrest Gump is pretty bad if you watch it now.
I like it.
So the year Green Book won, you had Vice, A Star Is Born.
Oh, A Star Is Born to me, I thought was phenomenal. And Roma, because I looked it up. Roma, I also thought was favorite. Was
Bohemian Rhapsody, Black Klansman, Black Panther, then Green Book. Yeah, I thought that there's several movies that were better than that year. Yeah,
Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm not somebody who just despite my social media rep, I don't just go, oh, that's fun or popular, it sucks. But Bohemian Rhapsody, I remember leaving the theater and going, I don't think that was very good, but half of the movie was Queen music, so I certainly enjoyed it. It kept me up because I was like, oh, it's basically a Queen concert with some dramatic scenes. I couldn't believe when it was a Best Picture nominee and he won. I genuinely was kind of when he won the Golden Globe, I think I was like, huh, well, that's the Golden Globes. They sometimes like some whatever they like. Yeah. But then he won the Oscar and I was like, I would have given it, I think, if my memory serves me, I probably would have given it to Bradley Cooper, who I thought was awesome in A Star Is Born. I thought A Star Is Born was legitimately awesome. I would have given that just about everything.
Best actor that year?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rami Malek, Christian Bale, Bradley Cooper, Willem Dafoe, and Vigo. Ew.
Was Willem Dafoe Florida Project?
No,
The Lighthouse.
No, Vigo. Willem for At Eternity's Gate.
I don't even know.
He plays like Van Gogh. It's like
he plays Van Gogh. Yeah, Bradley Cooper was. Yeah, I would have gave it to Bradley Cooper.
Look,
or Christian.
When Bradley Cooper pissed his pants at the Grammys, like you got to give it to him there.
I laughed so hard during that, and my girlfriend kept hitting me like, this isn't funny. And I was like, I know, but it's making me, I'm still laughing.
I was on a plane, and the TV in front of me, I was watching Bohemian Rhapsody. I saw it on a plane, and the TV next to me had on A Star Is Born. And then I made the joke that I said, it syncs up. The second Rami Malek coughs, because you know what's coming, is when Bradley Cooper pisses himself, and it syncs up the movies. And they line up perfectly because that's both their downfalls. That's like the biggest trope in a movie. A girl's pregnant, she throws up. And then that was with like, that's why like Bohemian Rhapsody was like kind of a shitty movie. It's like, we know what's coming. He's coughing. We know.
And historically, they met like there were so many things that they made in that movie. And I'm not like, oh, it should have been, Sacha Baron Cohen wanted to do like an NC-17 like Freddie Mercury movie, which I would respect, but they were like, slow down. We don't need, full penetration, Sasha.
Yeah.
But with Bohemian Rhapsody, I genuinely think Queen or Freddie Mercury should have gotten the Best Picture Oscar, literally like sent to Freddie Mercury's estate for like the music. I think that's what won the bet, what got them all the awards. Because to me, it was the things like he had HIV like after Bandit, like they like changed timelines. And I'm sorry, and I say this as a Karl Malone fan, and he said some very offensive things about Magic Johnson. In 1986, I'm not sure the whole band would have been like, bring it in here, guy with the deadly disease we don't yet understand. We're a family. Like, I'm just saying there was no nuance to it. It was like, hey, you're part of the band. Get over here, fella.
Weren't they producing it though? This is the problem with the NWA movie. The NWA movie was kind of like fun, but it was also kind of a like piece of shit because
you could say it was a fluff. You could say it was a fluff movie, but I thought it was really well done.
It was fun.
It was
fun, and it had good acting. Like the guy who played Easy, Jason Mitchell, was fantastic. Yeah. But what are you getting from Dr. Dre there? You're getting his wife going, hey, I heard you mistreated some women. And he's like, nah, I don't believe the rumors. And that's all you're getting. That's all you're getting from that because Dr. Dre produced it. So it's compromised. It's like The Last Dance with Jordan. And this is a problem with documentaries like The Last Dance, like who's that? Ken Burton gave it shit, where it's like Jordan's production company was in on it. So you're getting Jordan asshole stories, but you're getting them as like they worked out. You're not getting Craig Hodges. You're not getting people who are like, dude, he was a fucking dick all the time to me. And I cried and I wanted to leave the Bulls. You're getting like, hey, Jordan pushed me, but we won titles. You're getting like
that was the thing about Bohemian to me, was that it was both. It was like mediocre and a fluff piece. At least Straight Outta Compton was like,
Straight Outta Compton's better.
It's like I thought it was a very good movie, even though at least they executed the movie they wanted to make very well, is what I would say.
The ugliest stuff you got was like Ice Cube going to beat up the guy, but you're like on his side because he's getting screwed over by like a fucking, you're like on Ice Cube's side. And then the Suge Knight stuff was like a lot of Dr. Dre being like, now Suge, we can't do that. And it was like, come on, what is this? And again, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed it. I liked it, but it was so like, again, this is what happens when you have like people who are involved in the story behind the scenes. Like they're just like, they're going to shine the, best light on themselves. Again, fun movie though. I liked it.
Jason Mitchell wasn't nominated, was he?
No, but he was so, that's the thing about that movie.
He was great.
He was so far and away better than everybody else in it. Like everybody's fine. Ice Cube's son, fine. The guy who played Dr. Dre, fine. Everybody's good. No one's embarrassing themselves. But the guy who played Eazy-E, Jason Mitchell, was so good that you're like, oh my God, this guy is like Eazy-E. This guy, this is like mind blowing how good this guy is. I don't know what he's done since.
He's probably he got himself into some serious trouble with like women issue. Was it the hit women
sexual harassment? And
I haven't been following that. I have no idea.
Ego tripping and all that shit.
But he was on a Showtime show, I think, and he got kicked off.
He was on a Netflix show. He got kicked off.
It was Netflix?
Netflix movie.
But he wasn't on The Chi? I don't watch that.
He was on The Chi. Yeah, he was on The Chi. Yeah, you're right. He got kicked out. They killed him off. It's fucking just fucking dumb, man. Fucking up his money, fucking up his career.
But we're all in agreement there, right? About this, right? I'm not crazy here, right? We're all.
Oh, like the people are just like they're supposed to win. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Well, no, I was talking about the. I mean, like, really, what's the difference between Bohemian Rhapsody, which was critically praised, and actually not critically praised?
It wasn't. That's what was even weirder about it getting all the nominations. It was like a 60%.
It was like nobody liked this, critics shit on it, but yet it's Oscar bait, and Rami Malek, it's his God-given right to win the Oscar. And then a movie like Rocket Man, which was like, oh no, this sucks. We all hate it. Like, was it? It was probably this. I didn't see Rocket Man, but
I liked Rocket Man.
It was the same thing. It was just as good, but yet Rocket Man was like, it was not going to win an Oscar. It was not going to be nominated.
Rocket Man actually only focused on like the sad parts of his life, like before he got sober, before he got like the epilogue was like. He then met his partner and has been happy since this movie. Like, but the movie is all like, I think Rocket Man was better, but I like Bohemian Rhapsody to me was like a C with like an A+ soundtrack, and Rocket Man was like a B to me.
I like Queen more than Elton John.
But, right.
Okay, well
and that wraps up 3 years ago, Oscars.
Yeah, well, let's talk about
the 2018 Oscars.
Let's get into the. We're just gonna go from Best Picture on down and to see where we get. I know JL's got a heart out, but we're past JL's heart out. He can.
You can see that through my camera.
JL's got a pizza out.
I said heart out. Oh yeah, gotcha. Oh yeah. I was like, what did I? Oh, okay, there we go. All right. I need to do stand-up again. I'm just not on it. Somebody asked me to do a show. I was like, I don't know. I'm scared. All right, let's just go because the wiki has Best Picture first, so we'll just go through that. Best Picture: The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. Who do you think's gonna win, JL?
I'd like to first say that I think Trial of Chicago 7 stunk.
So boring.
I think
so boring.
Boring and then corny as hell at the so I wasn't enjoying it, and then it just left me with like I was like, oh my God, this is so corny. And I'm a huge Sorkin fan.
He's one of the greats, yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't, but like I was just like, I was pumped for that movie, and then I was like, this was terrible. Mank bored the crap out of me. I'm sorry. Like, I actually watched Citizen Kane on HBO Max for the first time before watching Mank. I actually liked Citizen Kane for what it was an ahead of its time movie in terms of the storytelling and all the cinematic techniques that I couldn't tell you, but obviously it pioneered a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. I was more into Citizen Kane, a 1941 movie, than I was Mank. And David Fincher is my number one. It's been a bad year for all the people I usually love. I haven't seen The Father. Looking forward to that. Nomadland I didn't like. So out of the ones I've seen, I would pick Judas and the Black Messiah, but I am very I would pick Sound of Metal for me, but I don't think Sound of Metal is going to win. So I would say I want to see The Father. Are you asking? I'm rambling. Did you ask who I think should win or who I think will win?
Well, give me who you think and who will win.
Out of the nominees, I would say I would pick Sound of Metal. But The Father is the one that I really want to see, and I haven't seen Minari or Promising Young Woman. From what I hear, it feels like, I mean, momentum can change. That's the thing. So right now, I'd say Nomadland seems to have the momentum.
They're pushing for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of you get working class America. You get basically at this point Hollywood royalty in terms of her awards. She's already got 2 Best Actress. She's married to one of the Coen brothers, and you get a woman of color director who, I'm not saying this factors in, and I'm not trying to be callous, but like she already was like a top tier candidate, and now you have the N-word wake up call, as Paul Mooney would say it, for the Asian American community.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that will only add momentum to her, at least as a director, if not for the movie overall.
Yeah, it's just it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this one. What do you think, Jeff?
I'm pretty surprised Promising Young Woman is nominated. That doesn't seem like an Oscar movie to me. And I liked it. Obviously, it was on my list. I really enjoyed it. It just doesn't seem like an Oscar, like what would normally get nominated. I hated Trials of Chicago 7. I didn't know much about it. I know there's a backlash to it now, but I just like was on Netflix. I was like, oh, let me watch this. I got about an hour or something in, and I was like, I fucking hate this. This is so boring.
It stunk.
I don't like this. And I
couldn't believe it, and the structure of it.
I didn't finish it, and I didn't feel compelled to finish it. And I think it was just too much Sorkin. Like when you get Sorkin with a great director like David Fincher, like with The Social Network, it really works because Sorkin, he can have the snappy dialogue, but when it was just too much snorking. Too much.
Can I jump in on that point? Because I can't remember if I said this on my podcast or just in a conversation recently, but I was like, Aaron Sorkin, A Few Good Men, directed by Rob Reiner. Charlie Wilson's War, I love that movie, directed by Mike Nichols, I think, a big time director. Social Network, directed by David Fincher. When you take his words, but there's like an equally powerful, talented Czech, like offering their expertise and their opinion, it makes superb movies. But like the other one, which I thought was much better, first I'll say this, Molly's Game was way better than Chicago 7. But I still felt while watching it, I was like, because that was, I think, his first director. Like he wrote and directed that one. And I thought to myself, this could have used an editor. Like it could have been 20 minutes shorter. But I think if you're Aaron Sorkin, you're an Oscar-winning writer. You're the cream of the crop in terms of screenwriting. You legitimately are. You wrote the fucking West Wing, Social Network. Like you're the man.
I think litigation becomes a little too tedious when you're doing a film, as opposed to, like you said, having Sorkin team with Rob Reiner with A Few Good Men, which was, very compelling and had other scenes. Because I recently saw A Few Good Men for the first time.
Oh, really?
A few months ago.
Oh, nice.
And it was really, really fantastic.
But the thing is, if you're Aaron Sorkin and you write something, you have every reason to think what I wrote is awesome because I'm an awesome writer. So if you're directing your own writing, why would he think he needs to cut something? But you got to
kill your darlings, though. Yeah.
Right. And
Sorkin's beyond notes is what you're saying. He's beyond notes. He's at the top of his game with writing. He doesn't fucking give a shit what anyone says. I just want to say I'm looking forward to Aaron Sorkin's son when he becomes a director in 10 years from now.
And I'm in the movie and you're not going to see it because his son did it.
I'll just say this. I love Sound of Metal. I would give that of all these films here, and I didn't see all of them. Sound of Metal is like the idea of a film that wants to like engulf you in the story. Sound of Metal really does that. You're really in this world. Like they do such a good job of putting you in this deaf community, and he's in there. And
that guy got nominated too. His teacher.
We'll get to him. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It just really engulfs you in this story, and you're in this world. And then when he goes to meet up with his girlfriend again, like it's so good, that movie. And I agree with you with the ending. I do like that kind of stuff too, where it kind of ends where it's like he eventually accepts where he's at. But it's not happy because it's not. He's dealt a shitty hand. But
there's a kind of hope.
There is hope. There's definitely hope.
But that's the thing about Nomadland too. The end of Nomadland is similar in a way of like, you've seen her again. The director said, and her were like, you should feel hopeful at the end. And I didn't feel that, but the end of like seeing like the van pulling away, you've seen her do this for over a year. You're like, she's going to be fine, which she will, but it's still fucking sad. So Nomadland is going to win Best Picture. It's going to win. If I had to put money, it's very good though. The movie was very good. I didn't enjoy it as much as Sound of Metal, but I think they accomplished what they were trying to do. Like, you're in this story with her. She's very good. And you're in this world where she's kind of this nomad and she doesn't want the help and she's very proud. And wouldn't
it be cool if Sound of Metal did win though? Like, what if
it's not going?
It would just be like, oh shit, cool. Like, instead, it's going to be like, yes, exactly.
Did Whiplash get nominated the year it did? Right?
Yes.
Let's not talk about the old shit because y'all love talking about movies from 5 years.
Because Whiplash, I will turn this into a Whiplash podcast.
Because
I love Whiplash is amazing.
Great.
JL and I went to go see it together. That I recently bought a hardcover fucking Blu-ray edition of that shit.
You want to own it? I get it.
I think that Nomadland will win. And I would like Judas and the Black Messiah to win. I would not be mad at Sound of Metal, but I think Nomadland's going to win. It's going to be between Nomadland and Minari, because that's one that I felt like I liked it, but I thought it was a little bit overhyped. For it to sell out at every virtual film festival, and then when I finally saw it, I was just like, okay. I was just like, all right. Like, it's a good story. It's an interesting story, but a lot of the, I was telling Jeff this the other day, like a lot of the press is on Stephen Yeun, who's terrific in the film, but I think it's this woman that plays his wife that really carries a lot of the emotional weight and the stuff that it's a showier role. But I think it's between Nomadland and Minari, and it'll win. Wouldn't be surprised if Mank pulled it out because Hollywood loves seeing movies about itself. It's that Leonardo DiCaprio in the fucking what's the Tarantino movie pointing at the screen? What is that?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood meme. So
you deserve the nom for Burning.
the gift. Oh, I didn't know what you meant by that.
Yeah, the pointing at that's me, or whatever. Stephen Yeun Burning was fantastic, but
for that he didn't get enough.
That's too fucking dense for our dumbasses.
I never saw that, but I was just about to ask about that because a lot of people had that like high on their list.
So good, it's great.
It's too much.
It's a little long for what it is. Like, that's the kind of movie 2.5 hours that I'm like, man, if this was 2 hours, I would have been recommending this to literally strangers on the street. That's how much I liked it. So it's a little long for what it is, but it's very good.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do Best Director. Lee Isaac Chung, Minari, Emerald Fennell, Promising Young Woman, David Fincher, Mank, Thomas Vinterberg, Another Round, Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. And Jeff, I know you're rooting for Another Round, but why don't you tell us?
Vinterberg. I before I was like, I forget what his name is. I knew it was something with a V. I've given it to him, man. That movie was so great. He has no chance of winning. He's not going to win, but it's awesome that he got nominated. And it's interesting that he's nominated for Best Foreign Movie, Best Directing, but yet not why not Best Picture?
They did that a couple of years ago. There was this Polish film called Cold War that I saw, and it was the same thing. Paweł something was the director, and it was the same split. So the reason I watched that movie Cold War is because I was like, well, it's got to be like for them to not only notice this foreign film, but for him to break in to the Best Director category means, and then I watched it and I was like, it's okay. The woman was like very stunning in Cold War. That's what I remember most about that movie.
So who do you think is going to win, Jeff?
Sometimes they split it. Like they'll give like, they don't give Best Picture to Best Director. Did they do that last year? No, Ang Lee won. Not Ang Lee. I'm sorry. The guy who Parasite. What's his name?
Bong Joon-ho.
Guys, don't cancel me because I said a different Asian.
No, I literally just
motherfucker. You better say it right.
I just worked my way through Bong Joon-ho, thinking I think I'm still saying the correct name, or I'm being incredibly offensive.
I mean, you guys know how I feel about Parasite. Parasite was nominated this year. Like, shut it down. Parasite wins again. That movie was so amazing.
I know.
But for best director, I think they're going to give it to Chloe for Nomadland. I think she's going to.
Yeah. Has David Fincher ever won?
No. And yeah, exactly.
Oh, you know what, Chris? That's it. Oh, he's not. Oh, he is nominated. I think they'll give it to Fincher. Then maybe they'll split it.
That might be the split. Is the Nomadland for picture, Fincher for director? But I'm going to be so annoyed if Fincher, who's directed like so many movies I love, wins for like the one Fincher movie where I'm like, yeah, I didn't care for it.
But that's how most of your favorites.
No. But I'm saying, you know, when Departed won for Scorsese, I didn't not like The Departed. I enjoyed The Departed. It's not his best movie, but I actually still liked it. Mank is like the one Fincher movie I'm like never gonna watch.
Yeah, well, Departed is way more accessible than Mank, but like, David Fincher's story. I did some ADR for Mindhunter, and I did a session with David Fincher, who was ADR? On. ADR is like when you record like additional recording, like you go into a studio and you say your lines differently so it syncs up to your dialogue. And so I did a session with him, and he was like on Skype, and he was just really cool. He's like, "Oh, Chris, that was great. It's perfect."
Have you read about him? Like he is like he is a film like even directors all say like he just knows more and is better at this than everyone else, like in terms of just how he sees everything. And it's fascinating reading because he sounds legitimately like a cinematic genius.
He's probably one of the smartest filmmakers ever. Like he's so meticulous that, okay, so I was a day player on Mindhunter. I drove out to Pittsburgh to film it. We were in a church in the inner city of Pittsburgh somewhere, and we were shooting this scene for like 16 hours. It was. And I thought like, oh, I'm a day player. I'm just gonna, with the costume and stuff. He was like, no, he wants you in this because like, you know, you think you're like, it's a big deal that I'm on the show, but I was a co-star, you know, and he's like, no, he wants you in this. We're going to try the hat. I'm going to take a picture of you in the hat and we'll see about if he likes it. And then we're just gonna, you know, and then we want you in this shirt. And just maybe if we buttoned it up, we'll see what happens, what he likes. Amazing. Like he knows what he wants.
But that's not him being like, from what I read, that's not him being like temperamental. Like,
no, he's not being a dick.
He's like, I want to see it. I have a vision. Yeah. I have like, I think the first movie, I didn't realize it because he was like the music video director of like the early 90s. That's where he got his start. Like a lot of people used to get their starts, like a lot of big directors. But his first feature was Alien 3, which is not a good movie. But when you watch, if you see Alien 3, you can see the Fincherness already. Yeah. It's a very like cool directed movie, even though it's not nearly as good as the first two. Yeah. It's like, to me, the style of Alien 3 is the best thing about Alien 3. And
he was probably under the system when he did that anyway, you know, probably, you know, but yeah, like he's awesome. Like he's one of the greats. So if he did win, I mean, for all the other great shit that he did,
he'd be happy though. His father wrote Mank. Yeah. So I'm sure it would, like, for him, it's the opposite of me. He'd be like, there's no movie he'd probably rather win for than Mank.
The more that I think about it, just listening to you guys talk about this, I feel like, so we're probably going to get this best director category before we get best picture within the ceremony. But I think if Chloe Zhao, if Nomadland wins best picture, then Fincher would probably be my front runner here.
But if Fincher wins, it's no guarantee. I still think Nomadland wins. Like, I'm for picture.
At David Fincher's IMDb, I got to say his best work is he directed the video Paul Abdul Straight Up. And
really?
Didn't he do Freedom 90 by George Michael?
Did he do it? Yeah, I don't know. He did I mean, I've never seen a more thorough IMDb on music videos. Usually he'll list like one or two. I know.
No, I was just saying to Chris, he was like he was like the top music video director, like before he got into feature films.
Oh, he did Cold Hearted, Paul Abdul. Come on, when they're in the dance studio. And
Hell yeah.
God, that was a great video.
And they probably shot that for
gun. I mean, David Fincher.
Jamie's Got a Gun is so David Fincher, though. That actually
so David Fincher.
Yes.
He did Vogue. Oh my God. This is incredible. Cradle of Love. That's another one. The girl spilling the wine all over the place. I got to give it up for someone should just do a documentary just on David Fincher's music videos he did, because he has like 20 top music videos.
Right.
Unbelievable. I love David Fincher. I didn't see Mank yet, but and he did do Freedom.
It's very dense. It's yeah.
Oh God.
Best.
I wish we could go back and give I think Bill Simmons always talks about going back 5 years to redo the best picture, and Social Network. Like, I mean,
you guys make me want to watch that now.
Social Network is
own it.
Good.
Yeah.
And it's only better. It's only better now. Like it was like, oh, it's very harsh on Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg is like a complete villain now. And it's like, well, there it was.
Yeah, there it was. It's right there, right in our faces. Best actor, Riz Ahmed, Chadwick Boseman, Anthony Hopkins, Gary Oldman, Stephen Yeun. Who you got, JL?
Yeah, I mean, I wish, no disrespect to Boseman, I wish it was like a question. I wish it was between like the top three, like Hopkins, Riz Ahmed. I wish it was just, but I don't think anybody wants to. Riz Ahmed could be like, if there's some Hollywood people who don't want to give it to like the old white guy, Anthony Hopkins, but it's gonna be Chadwick Boseman, and that's fine. It shouldn't be a problem if Anthony Hopkins or Riz Ahmed wins,
right?
But I think
I would not be
safe. It will be.
I wouldn't be mad, but Black Twitter would be mad if Chadwick Boseman won, because they wouldn't have seen any of these other movies. Jeff, what about you?
They're going to give it to Chadwick Boseman, no question.
Yeah.
I didn't see all these films. I think Riz Ahmed was so good. I remember JL said it was a beast of a performance. If I quoting you when I said you did that, but I don't know, man. It seems like, again, this is like God-given right thing where it's like it's
not a God-given thing, man. Did you see Ma Rainey's Black Bottom?
No, but how many God-given rights have we had recently where, like,
I'm asking you, you didn't see God, but you didn't see God. You didn't see now, Jeff. Hold on, Jeff. Talking about, hold on, let me get my Stephen A. Smith on. Hold on, Jeff. You got to see that monologue.
Oh, dude, I'm sure it's great. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's kind of like arbitrary how we pick these things where it's just.
But like, if you're asking, this is the case though. This year, I don't think it's he's going to win just because we've all decided.
Just because he died.
I think but I think it would have been an interesting race. I think you would have had a 3-person race where we don't know who's going to win. And it would have been a very cool best actor race where all 3 were legitimate chances. But his death is unlike with Rami Malek, where it became just a PR thing of somebody must have been in PR pushing him. I think his death is what makes him the undeniable choice, but he was going to be one of 3 with a legit shot if he had not died.
When was the last time we had a race? That's all I'm saying. When was the last time we had a race and it wasn't just predetermined? That it's like
Best Picture seems to be the one where there's sometimes
I feel like actor.
Right. No, acting is. It seems like Gary Oldman, Winston Churchill. That was like a done deal from the day the awards were announced.
Yeah. With this one, I just think, because I told you guys I saw Anthony Hopkins in The Father this week, and that shit was fucking heartbreaking, and I was just like, ooh. Because I think I texted you, Jeff, or I might have texted you or Brandon. I was like, maybe like Anthony Hopkins steals this shit because the performance was just that good. But you know, it in another universe, this would just be a 3-man race. But I think that Levy monologue was very powerful. And
There's no chance. Chadwick was so well liked. He was really talented. He died young. It's very sad. They're going to give it to him. It's not even the question, man.
yeah, I would tell you to see
he
that.
doesn't deserve it. He was super talented. It's
I'd see you watch
that
that.
happen.
I'd still say watch the movie, see that monologue.
It's like MVP race in the NBA. It becomes about the story. It's narrative. It's not just like it's kind of arbitrary tech. He was better than this person. Like it's like okay, Christian Bale in what was it? The Fighter, guaranteed. Like he's got like it's just like sometimes it's just locked, man. These people they just get. That's my point. That's my entire point of this. It's just usually predetermined who's going to get it.
I still say.
Why did the Judy Garland role, Renee Zellweger, have to get it for that? It was just like before that movie even fucking came out, before we even saw a trailer for it, it was like Renee Zellweger is going to win for Judy Garland. It was like she did that movie for this, and she won it and she got the Oscar. I
say, watch that scene, bro. All it takes is one moment. All it takes is one moment and a monologue. He killed that shit.
Yeah, I'm not saying he was undeserved.
I know. Got to see the movie though. See the movie. Best Actress: Viola Davis, Andra Day, Vanessa Kirby, Frances McDormand, Carey Mulligan. JL, who wins this?
Well, both Andra Day and Frances McDormand get naked, so that to me makes it a two-woman race because they showed vulnerability and bravery.
Okay.
I thought Viola Davis, she's the name of the movie, so that's why she's the lead actress. I think they should have put her in the supporting actress based on agree. For multiple reasons. But maybe that could be a thing where Viola Davis says, no, I want to be. If Meryl Streep were in this role, they wouldn't relegate her to the supporting. They'd let her stature put her into the main category. But I think I watched the Billie Holiday movie and I did not enjoy it at all. I thought it was not a good movie, but as my girlfriend said, it was a strong lead performance. And it's everything you want out of an Oscar performance in terms of she's singing and sounding like Billie Holiday. She is abused. She gives a good performance. But she's got drugs. She's got sexual assault. She's naked in the and I'm listing these things not totally being an asshole about it, but it clicks so many Oscar boxes. Without her performance, the good thing about her performance, I never felt like the movie is Oscar bait for her, but I didn't feel like her performance was Oscar bait, if that makes sense. Like
right.
She wasn't doing all these things to be like, give me an Oscar. The movie.
Right.
It's like Ray Lewis. It's like Ray Lewis on the Ravens. He would end every game with 22 tackles because they said, our defense trusts you, Hall of Famer, to make the play. So we will funnel the play to Ray Lewis and trust that he will get it done. And this movie is like, everything is funneling towards her being in a position to get an Oscar. So I would say it's between her and McDormand, but McDormand has two. And I don't know that she's necessarily like three is Jack Nicholson, Daniel Day-Lewis, Meryl Streep shit. Like, I don't know if they're going to just put Frances McDormand into like the fourth Mount Rushmore of acting, like in terms of hardware. So the one bet when I get on, what's it called? DraftKings, like a few nights before they have Oscar stuff.
Really?
They did last year when I lost a bunch of money.
This is how I win.
But Andra Day is like the one that I would say if it's a good value bet, that's one I would be very interested in. So I think it's between those two. And I would bet Andra Day. I'm gonna say it will be her because I don't think they're gonna give Frances McDormand a third, especially if they already give the movie the picture and or director. They'll feel like they did right by that movie.
I agree with you. I think I would not be surprised if she pulls that out. Viola Davis with the August Wilson script adapted from that play. All you got to do is show